Release the mind. Stop overthinking and live more peacefully. Do you feel stuck by the continuous stream of thoughts that exhaust you and cause stress? The time has come to free yourself. In this video, you will discover how to stop taking everything too seriously, let go of control, and transform emotional attachment into self-assurance. Learn to live with more peace, less anxiety, and enjoy healthier relationships. It is time to release your mind and start living authentically and freely. Chapter 1. The devastating power of the non-stop stream of thoughts. From the moment we open our eyes to the dawn until we are exhausted and sink into the darkness, our mind is a relentless racetrack. We think about hundreds of things: the burdens of the coming day, the mistakes we've made, the unfulfilled desires, a vague fear of the future, and even the things we can never change. The mind is never silent. It is a raging torrent whose speed and the sheer number of thoughts passing through we are rarely conscious of. At first glance, this continuous stream of thoughts seems like a natural instinct, but it quickly becomes a cruel bondage. Thoughts pile up, and instead of being a tool to guide us toward wisdom, they transform into the profound source of anxiety, stress, and emotional exhaustion. The greatest pain is when we identify ourselves with those very thoughts. We believe we are the fear, the insecurity, the negative emotions running through our heads. We tell ourselves that constant worrying is a useful action. But the brutal truth is, this endless stream of thoughts is stealing our present moment. We live like prisoners trapped in a vicious cycle. Our emotions and the way we perceive the world are entirely dominated by the horror films, the mind constructs. Every time we immerse ourselves in a problem, that problem seems to inflate, becoming distorted, dragging us into an unnecessary, reality-detached state of tension. We are lost in a hopeless restlessness instead of finding a peaceful escape. The shackles of uncontrolled thought. One of the greatest tragedies of the continuous stream of thoughts is that we don't know how to hit the brakes. Our mind has the non-stop ability to jump from one topic to another, from one worry to the next doubt. We are dragged from one thought to another without any control, creating a feeling of helplessness and being trapped. Every thought seems to give birth to a new one, forming an endless chain that we do not know how to cut. This way of thinking creates a persistent emotional pressure, a scary feeling that we are losing all sense of control. The power of continuous thought also lies in its ability to self-sustain, like a bottomless hunger. The more we try to stop them, the more these thoughts multiply, and the more strongly they control us. If we constantly think about a problem, we start to see everything through the lens of that complication, even when the circumstances are inherently clear. If we never stop thinking about our insecurities, they will grow like monsters, swallowing our relationships and daily life. Our mind has a harsh tendency. It only likes to worry about the future, regret the past, or judge the present. We are rarely allowed to live fully in the only moment that exists, the present. This continuous stream of thoughts causes us to completely lose connection with what is truly happening. We live as if trapped in a script created by our own mind, a play that never ends. The heartbreaking thing is that we do not understand that these thoughts, instead of helping us find solutions, pull us away from the calm and clarity necessary to make the right decisions. The worries, fears, doubts, insecurities, all are constantly present, tricking us into believing that we are the thoughts we have. But the truth is, we are not our thoughts. We are a much deeper and more complete being than the fragmented ideas that arise in the mind. The path to peace, letting go and observing. The key to freeing ourselves from the vicious cycle of continuous thought is to create a painful but necessary distance. We need to learn to observe our thoughts without getting swept away by them. The first step is to accept that having thoughts is not the problem, but rather how we react to and cling to them. If we learn to see them as clouds passing through the mind without attachment, we will begin to reclaim our freedom over our minds. Once we are aware of our thoughts, we take a courageous step closer to inner peace. Every time a thought arises, we can consciously decide whether to follow it or let it go. If a negative thought appears, we can simply observe it and allow it to pass without being emotionally carried away. This is true freedom. Not letting the mind control us, but learning to manage it so that it serves us instead of destroying us. As we advance, we can begin to shrink the space that useless thoughts occupy in our lives. To begin this difficult process of liberation, we can turn to deep practices like meditation, which teaches us to become the silent observer of the mind. Through meditation, we can train the mind to observe thoughts without getting entangled in their emotions. Deep breathing is also a magical anchor, helping us focus on the present moment, calming the mind, and alleviating the anxiety caused by the continuous stream of thoughts. Throughout this process, we will realize that when we let go of control over our thoughts, we allow ourselves to live more fully and truly. We are no longer bound by the scripts we think must happen or the bad things that might occur. We start living lighter, enjoying every moment without needing to analyze or dissect everything. The mind will continue to think, but we learn not to identify with the thoughts, allowing us to find a peace that transcends all the continuous noise. Chapter 2. The Ego's Curse. Why we take everything too seriously. We live in a world obsessed with demands, harsh expectations, authoritarian social pressures, and the incessant screams of internal urges force us to do more, be more, and own more. Since childhood, our souls have been taught to cherish superficial things: appearance, public opinion, fame, and most importantly, what others expect of us. The ego, that deepest part, always craving validation and control, has instilled in us the belief that our value is nothing if not measured by achievements or the judging eyes of others. And what is the result? We have personally built our own prison by overvaluing things that, in reality, have no lasting, sustainable impact on our happiness and inner peace. The illusion of identification. How the ego corrodes the true self. Why do we crave things we don't truly need? The ego plays the most insidious mastermind. As we grow, we blindly begin to identify ourselves with things around us: relationships, material possessions, and fleeting titles. The ego deceives us, making us think, you are what you own. You are what you have achieved. But as we desperately cling to these things, we are losing our authentic nature, drifting away from the calling of what truly matters, and getting stuck in the painful cycle of seeking external validation. We become empty shells, only living based on the reflection of others. Social media, the desperate scream for approval. One of the cruelest manifestations of the ego is the obsession with the opinions of others. We believe that if others approve, we have value. If they criticize, we automatically sentence ourselves as not good enough. We allow ourselves to be swept away by the storm of judgments, willing to sacrifice our authenticity to satisfy expectations that are not our own. We have forgotten that true validation must ignite from within, from the ability to accept and embrace ourselves unconditionally. But the ego, in its thirst for recognition, pushes us to seek that validation in every external corner, creating a terrifying emotional dependency that prevents us from living an honest life. Today, social media has magnified this addiction to validation exponentially. We measure our self-worth by likes and superficial comments. But what happens when those things do not come as we expect? The ego feels torn apart, and anxiety flares up like fire. We torment ourselves. What did I do wrong? Why am I not getting the attention I deserve? All of this is just a cruel illusion created by the ego. Social media is merely a mask, a glamorous facade. It does not reflect the reality of life or our deep nature. We are drawn into this pretense, completely losing focus on what truly nourishes the soul and makes us feel whole. The hopeless burden of control and worry. Another area we overvalue is trivial, daily worries. We are obsessed with things that have no long-term practical impact. Petty anxieties about the future, money, or what others will say are silently eroding our vitality. We spend hours, days, and weeks tormenting ourselves over things that, in most cases, will never happen. Although fear and worry are instinctive, when we allow ourselves to be carried away by them, we completely lose inner peace, pushing ourselves into a cycle of useless tension. The ego is the frantic one, wanting to control everything. It whispers, "You must plan everything in detail. You must ensure everything goes perfectly, otherwise, disaster will strike." This insane need for control makes us lose the present, living trapped in a nightmare about the future or regret about the past. We have forgotten that life is inherently unpredictable. The only thing we can truly control is our own reaction to what happens. When we let go of the obsession with control, we discover a liberating truth. Life can flow much more easily. We don't need to arrange every brick to feel peaceful. Fear steals the present. Worrying about the future is the clearest evidence that we overvalue things we cannot change. We worry about things that might happen, things that have not yet happened, things entirely out of our hands. And in this process, we forget how to live in the present. Fear of the future is stealing the opportunity to enjoy what we have right now. But when we bravely start living in the present moment, appreciating what is happening, we realize that the future, while important, is not a burden we must constantly carry on our shoulders. What truly matters is how we live today, how we enjoy every moment, every relationship, every experience. Clinging to the past is also a deep inner wound. We hold onto memories, unchangeable situations, and mistakes made. This attachment prevents us from moving forward, keeping us stuck in a version of ourselves that no longer exists. We forget that the past only has power when we allow it. True freedom comes when we accept the past, learn from it, and bravely leave it where it belongs, behind us. Living for whom? Destroyed by the word must. The concept of must do something is another example of how the ego makes us overvalue meaningless things. We feel compelled to meet external expectations, live by unwritten rules, and follow a path that is not our own. The word must pulls us away from authenticity, making us live someone else's life instead of our own. We forget that the only true obligation is to be loyal to ourselves, to our deepest needs and desires. Living for others is a form of spiritual suicide. Freeing the soul, the path of letting go. The process of freeing ourselves, of stopping overvaluing everything, begins with a painful but necessary realization. When we recognize that we are trapped in the ego's expectations, external validation, and worries that do not serve our soul, we can start making changes. We can begin to let go of what is unnecessary, casting off fear, judgment, and the need for control. Only when we learn to let go, to live lighter, can we reconnect with our authentic nature. Learning to live without taking everything too seriously also includes carving into stone that peace does not depend on what we have or what others think of us. Peace comes from the ability to accept ourselves unconditionally, from letting go of control, from stopping the search for external validation. Peace lies in simplicity, in authenticity, in the ability to enjoy what we have in the present without being obsessed with what might happen. Chapter 3. The cruel impact of overthinking, when the mind becomes a prison. Overthinking is not a harmless habit. It is a continuous wave of thoughts that seems never to settle, with a profound, soul-destroying impact more than we dare to admit. We live in a society obsessed with productivity, speed, and control, and that has deeply ingrained itself in how we operate our minds. We are taught to think incessantly, analyze everything deeply, and question every angle as if that were a sign of wisdom and thorough preparation. But the harsh truth is that this model of non-stop thinking not only exhausts us but also drives us away from clarity, peace, and true happiness, turning us into slaves to our own brains. When we sink into the cycle of overthinking, we are actually personally cultivating stress and anxiety. Instead of allowing ourselves to simply exist, our mind continuously generates worries, toxic doubts, and baseless speculations. This insane noise prevents us from making clear decisions, pulls us out of the present moment, and traps us in a vicious cycle of instability. We find it hard to rest, hard to find solutions because we are too immersed in the need to think about everything, to the point of losing the ability to view the problem objectively. The problem is not the act of thinking itself. Thought is necessary. The problem lies in how we identify with those thoughts, how we get carried away by them to the point where they control our emotions and actions. Thoughts begin to dominate life when we believe we must have the answer to everything immediately, when we let every small concern become an overwhelming worry. This non-stop thinking style not only causes anxiety but also creates a terrible sense of mental exhaustion. We are tired not because of hard work, but because our mind is constantly operating. Without rest, the mind becomes an analytical machine that never stops, eroding our energy, creativity, and ability to enjoy life. One of the most dangerous effects is how overthinking relates to our emotions. Thoughts create emotions, and emotions, in turn, feed more thoughts. It is a never-ending vicious cycle. When we start to worry, those thoughts lead to feelings of anxiety and frustration. And those painful emotions continue to fuel more negative thoughts, creating a downward spiral. The more we identify with them, the more trapped we feel. When facing difficulties, instead of processing the emotion, our mind begins to spin about worst-case scenarios. Overthinking does not help us solve the problem. It actually makes the problem bigger. This struggle is amplified by the ego. The ego wants to be in control, wants to find answers, wants to be ready for everything. This insane craving for control makes us constantly think about what might happen, trying to predict every situation. But the more we try to control everything, the further away we get from peace. Control, like attachment, is an illusion that prevents us from enjoying the present. Overthinking is also closely linked to fear. We are afraid of not knowing, afraid of not being prepared, afraid of what might happen. Fear is natural, but when we identify with it, when we allow fear to control our minds, what we do is create more fear, more worry. Instead of facing life as it is, we constantly predict the worst. What we need to do is learn to let go of control over our thoughts, and instead of letting the mind run away, begin to observe it with non-attachment. The key to liberation is not to avoid thinking, but to learn how to manage them. When we stop identifying with the thoughts, when we see them as things simply passing through the mind, we begin to regain control over our soul. Thoughts are no longer a threat, and we can observe them with non-attachment. To begin this path of liberation, we can turn to meditation. Meditation teaches us to observe the mind, to be present with it, without identifying with every thought that arises. It helps us create a space between us and the thought. Deep breathing is also a powerful technique, as it anchors us in the present and helps calm the mind, reducing the anxiety and stress caused by continuous thought. Additionally, mindfulness teaches us to be present in the moment, accepting what is happening without judgment. When we are in the present moment, we let go of worries about the past and future and allow the mind to be calm. Finally, the key is to realize that we do not need to have all the answers. Living a life of inner peace does not mean controlling everything, but learning to go with the flow of what life brings us, accepting the moment as it is and not allowing continuous thinking to prevent us from enjoying it. Chapter 4. The Path of Non-Attachment, Releasing the Mind's Shackles. In the modern world full of noise and commotion, we are constantly bombarded by situations, opinions, and thoughts that seek to steal our attention and energy. Society has sown a curse in our minds. We must take every detail, every comment, every aspect of life seriously. We live in a constant state of vigilance, as if everything needs to be assessed, judged, and exhaustingly considered. But in the process of overvaluing everything, we are personally stifling inner peace and moving away from what truly brings happiness. The first, and also the most difficult, thing we must accept is, not everything requires our attention. Not everything that enters our field of vision needs to be analyzed, dissected, or solved immediately. We often waste energy, overvaluing worries about the future that has not arrived, mistakes from the past that are gone, unrealistic expectations of others, and our own deep insecurities. All these things merge, creating a whirlwind of tension and anxiety that relentlessly sweeps us away. We forget that life is constantly changing, and many things we worry about today will not be as important as we think tomorrow. The first step to stopping overvaluing everything is to learn how to distinguish what truly deserves our energy and attention. This distinction can only be achieved when we foster a calm and clear mind. When the mind is agitated and full of scattered thoughts, we tend to overvalue anything that enters our awareness. But when we train the mind to focus, we can realize what is a true need and what is merely a useless worry created to feed the ego. One of the most powerful keys to achieving this distinction is the practice of non-attachment, desapego. Non-attachment does not mean indifference or not caring. On the contrary, it is an act of supreme liberation from the need to control, from clinging to what we cannot change, and from taking everything personally. When we practice non-attachment, we learn to view situations with a broader, more tolerant perspective. We understand that everything comes and goes, that people change, that situations fluctuate. Impermanence. By accepting this impermanence, we stop clinging to what we think we must control to feel safe. Non-attachment also allows us to stop overvaluing the expectations of others. We often worry ourselves to exhaustion about what others think of us, about whether we are meeting what they expect. However, by letting go of these expectations, we free ourselves from the pressure to become someone we are not. By focusing on what truly matters to us, we can live according to our own values and desires, instead of living to please others or to meet standards that do not align with our true nature. The deepest key to letting go and stopping overvaluing everything is to learn to live fully in the present moment. When we are too focused on the past or the future, we stop appreciating what is happening now. The present is the only thing we truly have, and it is there that our infinite peace resides. If we are constantly stuck in what has passed, what should have been done, and worries about what might happen, we are missing the golden opportunity to enjoy what is in front of us. Mindfulness practice is a powerful tool to achieve this. By being completely present in every moment, we free ourselves from the burden of continuous worry and begin to appreciate what truly matters. It is also important to understand that we cannot control everything that happens around us. Sometimes we try to solve every problem, have an answer for everything, and control circumstances and people. But when we do that, we set ourselves up for disappointment and exhaustion. Life does not always go as we expect, and a part of the peace we can find lies in accepting uncertainty. Acceptance of uncertainty allows us to relax and let go of the relentless effort to try to control everything to our liking. Another important practice is learning to let go of the repetitive thoughts that consume our vital energy. Continuous thinking, analyzing situations that have happened or problems that might arise, only fuels our anxiety. When we realize we are stuck in this mental cycle, we can simply take a deep breath and let the thoughts pass without clinging to them. We do not need to follow every thought. We can choose which thoughts are worth following and which should be allowed to drift away like clouds. Gratitude also plays a crucial role in this process. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or what could go wrong, we can direct our energy toward what we have achieved, what we possess, and what is going well in life. By cultivating gratitude, we change our perspective and begin to appreciate what truly matters. In this way, we stop overvaluing the non-essential and focus our attention on what truly brings peace and satisfaction. Finally, the liberation from continuous thinking and clinging to worries allows us to live lighter. Stopping overvaluing everything frees us from the emotional burden we are carrying. It allows us to be happier, freer, and more present. When we learn to let go, we create space for new experiences, to live without the constant need to control or predict the future. We live more authentically, more connected to ourselves and to others. Chapter 5. The Path to Freedom, Analyzing and Releasing the Need for Control. The relentless desire to control everything is a fundamental and perhaps the most destructive block on the path to inner peace. We live with the deep-seated belief that safety, happiness, and peace are tied to our ability to manipulate circumstances, predict the future, and meticulously plan every aspect of our lives. This obsession with control is merely a cruel illusion, driven by the ego, which seeks to protect us from uncertainty and pain. However, what it actually does is trap us in a continuous state of tension, worry, and emotional exhaustion. This need for control manifests in many ways. The non-stop planning, the detailed analysis of every conversation, the desperate attempt to change the behavior of others, and the fear-driven worry about everything that might go wrong. We operate from the mindset that if we just think about it hard enough, if we just worry enough, we can somehow prevent disaster. But this is a fallacy. Life is inherently unpredictable, full of surprises, and entirely beyond our total control. The more we try to force reality to conform to our desires, the more we suffer when things inevitably deviate from the plan. This desperate clinging to an illusion of control is the main engine of overthinking. It turns the mind into an analytical machine that never rests, always seeking to ensure safety in a world where ultimate safety does not exist. The most painful aspect of the need for control is that it pulls us completely out of the present moment. We are so busy worrying about the future or regretting the past that we completely miss the single, beautiful moment that is happening now. We live in a future-oriented nightmare, losing the ability to feel calm and joy because we are preoccupied with things that are not yet here. This intense focus on external control causes us to forget the only thing we truly have power over: our own reaction to the circumstances. We cannot control the external world, but we can absolutely control how we respond to it, whether with panic and judgment or with acceptance and peace. The path to liberation from the obsession with control is through radical acceptance. This acceptance does not mean resignation or giving up. It means embracing reality as it is, not as we think it should be. It means understanding that uncertainty is not a threat, but a natural component of life. When we bravely accept that we cannot control everything, a significant emotional burden is lifted. We no longer have to be the omnipotent overseer of our own existence. We can relax and allow life to unfold naturally. This is the ultimate act of trust and self-love. To start this journey of letting go of control, we need to distinguish between what is in our power and what is not. We can control our actions, our words, and our efforts. We cannot control the weather, the decisions of others, or what happened in the past. By focusing all our energy on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we reclaim our focus and peace. The practice of mindfulness and deep breathing helps us anchor in this reality. Every breath is a quiet reminder that we are here now, and that's all that matters. When we let go of control, we discover a profound truth. A lot of what we worry about is meaningless. We free ourselves from the pressure of perfection, the need for external validation, and the crippling fear of mistakes. We begin to live with greater fluidity, embracing the spontaneity of life. This is the true release of the mind. It is the realization that peace is not found in having all the answers, but in the courage to live without them, trusting in the unfolding of life itself. The moment we stop trying to control every ripple, the water of our minds begins to calm. Chapter 5. The absolute freedom of letting go of the shackles of control. The need for control is one of the most powerful and brutal forces the ego exerts on our soul. In a world full of uncertainty, the ego desperately clings to the crazy idea that if we can control life, our emotions, and every surrounding circumstance, we can ensure everything will turn out perfectly. We have been educated that control equals safety, stability, and success. However, a painful truth is, the more we try to control everything, the further we move away from true freedom. Control becomes an illusion that limits us, a prison of invisible shackles we unknowingly lock ourselves into. When we try to control everything, what we are actually doing is resisting what is. Life is inherently unpredictable and constantly changing, but the ego whispers that we must keep everything under its tyrannical supervision. We want to control situations, outcomes, people, and even our own emotions. However, this need for control only causes us constant anxiety, stress, and frustration. We forget that true peace and freedom come when we learn to let go of control and accept what happens. Letting go of control is not abandoning responsibility or letting everything fall apart. It means accepting that we cannot control everything that happens, but we can choose how we react to what life brings. Freedom comes when we understand that, although we cannot always control the circumstances, we can choose our response. It is an act of surrender, not of weakness, but of inner strength. The fear of losing control is what makes us cling to it desperately. We fear that if we don't control something, we will lose stability and safety. However, when we free ourselves from the need for control, we discover that true stability comes from within, from the ability to accept what comes without fear or resistance. Peace lies in the present moment, in accepting what is as it is. One area where we ruthlessly seek control is in relationships. We want people to behave in a way that makes us feel comfortable. We want them to meet our selfish expectations. When we try to control others, we don't give them the space to be themselves. True love is one that allows the other person to be free without expectations or attached conditions. Letting go of control in relationships means accepting the other person as they are, with their flaws, decisions, and own path. Control also manifests in our relationship with the future. And perfectionism. We constantly worry about what will happen, planning and clinging to ideas about how things should unfold. But the future is inherently uncertain. True freedom comes when we understand that the future should not be a burden. We learn to go with the flow of life, accepting that the future is built day by day and what truly matters is how we live in the present. Letting go of control also allows us to free ourselves from perfectionism. Perfectionism is a deep expression of the fear of losing control. We must accept that perfection is an illusion, and every mistake is an opportunity to learn. On the path to freedom, one of the most important steps is learning to let go of emotional control. The ego tells us that we must control emotions, suppress weakness. However, emotions are a sacred part of our human nature. We should not repress or judge them, but simply allow ourselves to feel and accept them without identifying with them. Learning to let go of emotional control allows us to live lighter, more authentically. The practice of acceptance is key in this process of letting go of control. Accepting that not everything is under our influence. Accepting that life has its own rhythm. When we practice acceptance, we stop struggling against what we cannot change and begin to enjoy what is. Life ceases to be a continuous struggle to control the uncontrollable and becomes an experience of going with the flow of what comes. Finding peace amid uncertainty. Chapter 6. The Roadmap to Liberation. Practicing mental detachment. We live in a world flooded with continuous stimuli, where our soul is constantly affected by the opinions of others, by imposed social expectations, and by the harsh demands of daily life. All these factors combine, creating a chaotic stream of thoughts and emotions that sweeps us away and disconnects us from our true nature. We cling to ideas, worries, opinions, and expectations that, although seemingly necessary, are only heavy burdens that limit us and prevent us from finding inner peace. Mental detachment, desapego mental, is the key to freeing ourselves from this burden, to recovering lost peace and freedom. Detachment does not mean indifference or emotional disengagement. It is the act of learning not to identify with the thoughts and emotions that arise in the mind. We realize that while thoughts are inevitable, we are not our thoughts. We can observe them without getting caught up in the emotion, without allowing them to manipulate us. Mental detachment teaches us to view our thoughts and emotions as mere observers, without the need to react to them or allow them to define us. The first step to practice is to realize a liberating truth. Not everything we think is true. Many times our mind creates stories, catastrophic scenarios, and worries that have no basis in reality. Mental detachment helps us let go of these fictional narratives, seeing them for what they are, transient thoughts that do not define who we are. A fundamental aspect of detachment is learning to let go of expectations. We often cling to ideas about how things should turn out, but life does not always conform to our expectations. Mental detachment teaches us to let go of those expectations, accepting what is happening without resistance and seeing things as they are without judgment. When we stop clinging to what we think should happen, we open ourselves to a more flowing and natural life. Detachment is also essential when it comes to our relationships. We cling to people, to their behavior, and this creates suffering. Detachment in relationships does not mean stopping loving people, but learning to love them without the need to control or change them. It is accepting that each person has the freedom to be themselves without affecting our inner peace. We realize that our happiness does not depend on how others act, but on how we choose to react to their actions. Another important part is learning to let go of judgment. The mind is constantly evaluating everything we see, hear, and experience. We judge ourselves and others, and this continuous judgment only feeds suffering. Mental detachment teaches us to observe without judging, accepting what is without needing to categorize it as good or bad. When we stop judging, we free our mind and open ourselves to greater understanding and compassion. Mental detachment is also closely linked to the ability to live in the present. We worry about the future or regret the past, and this prevents us from enjoying the moment we are living. The present is the only thing we truly have. Detachment helps us focus on what is happening here and now, enjoying every experience without anticipation or regret. It allows us to free ourselves from the burden of the past and the anxiety of the future. In addition, detachment helps us free ourselves from the need to always be busy. Society teaches us to value ourselves for what we do, but this mentality exhausts us. Detachment helps us see that our value does not depend on what we achieve, but on who we are. We learn to enjoy moments of stillness, finding peace in simplicity. One of the most effective ways to practice mental detachment is through meditation. Meditation allows us to observe our thoughts without identifying with them. It teaches us to be present without letting the mind run away, helping us train the mind to be more aware of what we are thinking and how we are reacting. Mental detachment is not a process that happens overnight, but with practice and patience, we can lighten the mental burden we are carrying. When we learn to let go of the thoughts that do not serve us, we experience a greater sense of peace and freedom. It allows us to live lighter, with greater acceptance and with a greater connection to our essence. We give ourselves the opportunity to live a more authentic, free, and peaceful life. Chapter 7. Healing the wounds of the past. Forgiveness is the key to self-liberation. The past has a profound influence on our present life, and many times, the unhealed wounds of the past are invisible shackles that keep us bound to negative emotions, hindering our ability to live fully and happily. We often tend to cling to painful memories, repeating them incessantly in the mind, without realizing that this persistent repetition is prolonging the suffering. Forgiveness is not just a moral concept, it is a powerful tool, a healing balm that allows us to release these wounds, freeing the mind from the immense burden of the past and recovering lost inner peace. We must understand the nature of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a favor we grant to another person. It is a gift we give to ourselves. When we do not forgive, we are stuck in a cycle of resentment, anger, and sadness. These emotions do not harm the person who caused the wound, but they harm us, eroding our energy and spirit every day. We continue to give that person power over us through their control over our thoughts and emotions. Therefore, forgiveness is an act of personal liberation, a powerful and courageous step toward inner peace. Many mistakenly believe that forgiveness means forgetting what happened or accepting the behavior that hurt us. However, forgiveness has nothing to do with justifying the harm that was done to us. Forgiveness means letting go of the emotional burden we are holding on to and stopping that pain from continuing to control our life. It is not forgetting what happened, but freeing ourselves from the suffering that memory causes. Forgiveness is an act of extraordinary courage, an acknowledgement that although the harm was real, we do not want to continue being a victim of the past. To truly forgive, we must first accept what happened. Only when we accept what happened, without denying or repressing it, can we begin to heal. Acceptance does not mean approving of the other person's actions. It means recognizing reality as it is, without allowing that reality to continue dictating our happiness. Forgiveness also includes freeing ourselves from the need for revenge. The ego often whispers that we need justice, But revenge only prolongs the cycle of suffering, both for the person who harmed us and for ourselves. Forgiveness frees us from that need for external justice and returns emotional control to us. It allows us to let go of anger, disappointment, and bitterness so that peace can take their place. It is important to understand that forgiveness is a process and does not always happen immediately. Forgiveness is not something we do once and then it's over. It is something we must practice continuously, especially when painful memories resurface. Every time we choose to forgive, we are taking a step closer to our own liberation. Forgiveness also extends to ourselves. We are often our own worst critics, but self-forgiveness is essential for ultimate healing. We must learn to let go of guilt and self-criticism, accepting that we are human, that we make mistakes, but those mistakes do not define our value. When we forgive, we also learn to let go of expectations toward others. We often get stuck in the past because we expect the other person to apologize or explain themselves. But the truth is we cannot control the actions of others. Therefore, forgiveness is a way to free ourselves from those expectations. We do it because we deserve peace, because we want to heal, not because the other person has requested it. One of the most powerful ways to practice forgiveness is through writing. Writing a letter, even if not sent, can be an effective way to release trapped emotions. We allow ourselves to let go of what we have been holding inside. Forgiveness is also an act of compassion. When we forgive, we not only free ourselves from suffering, but we also recognize that everyone at some point has caused harm. Forgiveness allows us to cultivate greater empathy toward others. Forgiveness is not only to liberate ourselves, but also to sow compassion and humanity in the world. By letting go of resentment and pain, we give ourselves the opportunity to live lighter, fuller, and more authentically. Forgiveness liberates us, allowing us to move forward with a lighter heart, without the burden of the past. True freedom comes when we learn to let go of the pain of the past and embrace the present with everything it brings. Chapter 8. Awakened Love, Recognizing Attachment and Loving Without Clinging. Love is one of the deepest and most transformative experiences of human life. It connects us, supports us, and gives us meaning. However, when love is viewed through the filter of attachment, it can quickly become a source of suffering instead of joy. Attachment in love stems from a deep fear and a need for control. We believe that if we do not have that person by our side, if they do not guarantee their love or presence, we will be incomplete, insecure. This type of love based on attachment is not true love, but a form of emotional dependency that pulls us away from the true nature of unconditional love. We often do not realize how deeply attached we are to the people we love. When we cling to the idea that we need the other person to be a specific way for us to be happy, we stop seeing the other person as a free, independent individual. Attachment in love creates expectations and dependencies that limit us and prevent us from loving authentically. This fear of rejection or loss consumes us and prevents us from enjoying love as it is. In contrast, true love, in its purest form, is not conditioned by what the other person does or does not do. It is not about having someone to fill an emotional void, but it is based on acceptance, respect, and the desire to see the other person flourish without trying to control or change them. When we love with detachment, we love with freedom, allowing the other person to be themselves, without trying to force them to fit our expectations. This type of love is not based on fear or the need to possess, but on mutual admiration and respect. Attachment, on the other hand, is born from the ego. The ego tells us that we must control the relationship to feel secure, and that our happiness depends on the other person. This need for control leads us to create an idealized image of the relationship. The problem is that love cannot exist under these conditions. True love must flow freely without expectations or constraints. The liberation from attachment in love begins with the understanding that love is not a possession or something that can be owned. Love is something that flows, something we share, something that nourishes and transforms. A fundamental aspect of letting go of attachment in love is the ability to love without expecting anything in return. The purest and most authentic love is unconditional. Loving without expecting anything in return means that we love because of who we are, not because of what the other person can give us. When we love unconditionally, we are not looking for the other person to complete us or make us feel better, but we are looking to share our own light with them. Detachment in love also means learning to let go of the fear of loneliness. This fear of loneliness is the biggest obstacle to true freedom in love. Love must arise from within first. Only when we are capable of loving ourselves unconditionally can we give true love to someone else. Emotional freedom comes when we understand that our happiness does not depend on other people. Love in its purest form is an act of liberation, not control. When we love without attachment, we free both ourselves and the other person. True love is one that creates space for both to grow and evolve, one that does not demand or manipulate. It is a love based on mutual respect. To practice detachment in love, we must first heal the relationship with ourselves. We must free ourselves from the idea that we need someone to be complete and start seeing ourselves as complete individuals. Loving from detachment does not mean stopping commitment, but means making that commitment from a place of freedom, without the need for control or possession. When we love without attachment, we experience immense freedom, an inner peace that does not depend on others. Chapter 9. Freedom in Interaction. Practicing detachment in daily relationships. Daily relationships, from family, friends, and colleagues to the strangers we briefly encounter, are the fertile ground where attachment creeps into our lives without us even realizing. In these interactions, we tend to create unspoken expectations, unconscious dependencies, and emotional demands. These interactions are easily clouded by the desire for things to go a specific way, by the fear of rejection, or by the need for validation. We are carried away by the ego, which pushes us to control how others should behave, what we should expect from them, and how we should act to be accepted. But true freedom in daily relationships comes when we learn to practice detachment. Detachment in daily relationships means learning to accept everyone as they are, without trying to change or control their behavior. It involves letting go of the fear of loss, letting go of the need to receive something in exchange for our love or attention, and letting go of the expectations that cause disappointment when they are not met. Freedom in relationships comes when we understand that we cannot control others, but we can control how we interact with them, how we react to their actions, and how we maintain our inner peace in the face of external circumstances. One of the first and most important steps to practice detachment is letting go of expectations. Expectations are the main source of suffering in relationships. When we expect others to behave in a specific way, we are putting ourselves in a vulnerable position. But when we stop expecting something in return, when we love and act from a place of freedom, we begin to experience a deeper peace because we free ourselves from the burden of uncontrollable expectations. Expectations are also linked to the desire for control. We want others to act in a way that aligns with our perspective, but detachment in daily relationships teaches us that we cannot control others, that each person has their own path and experience. When we let go of this control, we open ourselves to the possibility of seeing others as complete individuals, free to be themselves. Detachment also involves letting go of the fear of loss. This fear of loss makes us cling to relationships, emotionally dependent on others. But detachment teaches us that although relationships are valuable, we should not depend on them for our happiness. People come and go, and detachment allows us to enjoy relationships while they last, without the fear of losing them, because we understand that everything is constantly changing. Furthermore, detachment allows us to practice compassion in daily relationships. When we stop placing expectations on others, we can see their flaws and virtues without judgment. Instead of trying to change them, we can accept them as they are. By practicing detachment, we learn to love without control, to be compassionate without demanding anything in return. Detachment also helps us maintain inner peace amid conflicts. When we are attached, it is easy to fall into the trap of personalizing conflicts, feeling attacked. But detachment teaches us that by not identifying with our point of view or emotions, we can approach conflicts more objectively. Practicing detachment allows us to listen without judging and respond without reacting. In the work environment, detachment is fundamental to maintaining a healthy relationship. When we learn to let go of the attachment to the need for recognition, we not only free others from our expectations, but we also free ourselves from stress. Detachment at work allows us to act authentically, without fear of failure or criticism, and to collaborate from a place of mutual respect without needing to control the outcome. The practice of detachment also includes realizing that our relationships should not be conditional on what others do for us. Detachment teaches us to give without expecting to receive, to love without needing to be loved in the same way. When we free ourselves from the need for others to give us something in return, we can live deeper and more fulfilling relationships. Finally, detachment allows us to maintain our identity intact. Detachment helps us realize that we are complete by ourselves, that our peace and happiness do not depend on the validation or acceptance of others. Chapter 10. Liberation from fear. Conquering the fear of loneliness and the need for approval. The fear of loneliness and the need for approval are two of the most powerful motivators that control us throughout life. From a young age, we are taught that being accepted by others is a sign of success and that loneliness is something we must avoid at all costs. The fear of being alone and the dependence on external validation deeply affect our ability to live authentically and connect with our true nature. However, when we learn to free ourselves from these fears, we discover a profound inner peace and the ability to live with greater authenticity, freedom, and self-esteem. The fear of loneliness largely arises from the ego. The ego tells us that we need the company of others to be happy, that external validation is what gives us value, and that if we are alone, we are incomplete. This fear of loneliness keeps us trapped in relationships and behaviors that are not a true reflection of who we are. When we fear loneliness, we move away from ourselves and begin to depend on others to feel valued. The truth is that loneliness is not something to be feared. Loneliness does not mean isolation, but means being with ourselves. Loneliness, when lived consciously, is a golden opportunity for self-awareness and to connect with our true nature. When we learn to be alone with ourselves, we discover that we are already enough as we are. Inner peace does not come from the company of others, but from the ability to be at peace with ourselves. Letting go of the fear of loneliness begins with the recognition that the most important company we can have is our own. True self-esteem is nourished from within. When we learn to love and accept ourselves without needing others to do it, we discover a freedom we have never experienced. The need for external approval is another expression of the ego, which makes us believe that our value depends on what others think of us. This constant search for external validation pulls us away from our authenticity. We forget that the most important thing is to be faithful to ourselves, not to the expectations of others. When we are trapped in the need for approval, our happiness depends on others, causing our self-esteem to fluctuate with external opinions. This emotional dependency creates a cycle of instability. To free ourselves from this need for approval, we must learn to self-validate our own achievements, efforts, and emotions. External validation can be pleasant, but it should not be our primary source of self-esteem. When we start to recognize our value through who we are, not through what others think, we stop depending on external approval to feel complete. This is a process of self-compassion, of loving ourselves with all that we are, without needing the validation of others. One of the keys to freeing ourselves from the fear of loneliness and the need for approval is to practice self-acceptance. Accepting ourselves as we are, with our strengths and weaknesses, allows us to live more freely. Stop comparing ourselves to others. Self-acceptance is a liberating act that allows us to let go of worries about what others think of us and focus on what truly matters, our inner well-being. Meditation is a powerful tool to free ourselves from the fear of loneliness. When we sit in silence, alone with our thoughts, we learn to observe without judging. Meditation helps us connect with our inner being, listen to our inner voice, and find peace. Another important aspect is learning to say no when necessary. Many times we seek the approval of others. By sacrificing our own needs, by learning to set healthy boundaries, we allow ourselves to be faithful to ourselves without constantly having to please others. Ultimately, the fear of loneliness and the need for approval dissolve when we understand that our peace does not depend on what others do or say, but on our ability to be present with ourselves. True freedom comes when we stop seeking external validation, when we understand that we are already complete and enough as we are. Chapter 11. The Ultimate Choice: Transforming Attachment into Trust and Freedom. Attachment is one of the biggest obstacles to emotional freedom. It ties us to things, people, and expectations, making us believe that we cannot be happy, complete, or free without the very thing we are holding on to. Throughout this journey of self-discovery and detachment, we have learned to let go of many emotional burdens that limit us. But the definitive step toward true emotional freedom is to transform attachment into trust. This transformation not only liberates us from what is holding us back, but also allows us to live with a profound inner peace and a sense of freedom that we have never experienced. Trust is the antidote to attachment. While attachment is based on fear and the need for control, trust is based on the certainty that, regardless of external circumstances, we will be capable of handling what comes. When we trust, we let go of the need to control everything, the need to know what will happen, the need to depend on people or situations to feel complete. Trust is born from the deep understanding that we have the capacity to face the unknown, adapt to change, and maintain our inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Attachment tells us that we need something external to feel complete. It says that our happiness depends on achievements, people, or circumstances. But the truth is that happiness and inner peace are qualities that are already within us. Only when we let go of attachment and begin to trust in our ability to handle any situation can we discover our true strength. This trust is not arrogance. It is a quiet self-confidence that comes from knowing our ability to recover, adapt, and grow. A fundamental part of transforming attachment into trust is learning to let go of fear. Fear is the underlying emotion that fuels attachment. But as we begin to trust in ourselves, in our ability to face any situation, fear loses its power over us. Fear is essentially an illusion. Trust, on the other hand, gives us the courage to move forward despite fear, to take the next step without needing to have all the answers. Attachment is also intertwined with control. We cling to people and situations because we believe that we must control everything to feel safe. But the truth is that life is constantly changing. Letting go of attachment means accepting change, embracing it, and understanding that we do not need to control everything. We trust that even when things do not go as planned, we will have the ability to adapt, learn, and find a way to continue. Trust also means believing in our ability to make wise and correct decisions. Trust grows when we begin to make decisions based on what we feel is right, without depending on external validation or the opinions of others. When we make decisions and realize that we are capable of facing the consequences, our self-confidence increases. Another essential aspect of transforming attachment into trust is forgiveness. When we cling to the past, to the wounds or mistakes of others, we are bound. Forgiveness frees us from this cycle, allowing us to let go of expectations, release the burden of wounds, and, ultimately, trust that we can move forward without the past holding us back. A practical way to cultivate trust is through action. Trust is built through action. When we face situations that we would normally avoid, make difficult decisions, and allow ourselves to experience new things, we reinforce our trust. The issue is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite fear. Detachment and trust are also intimately related to our relationships with others. When we trust people, we do not need to control their actions or expect them to meet our expectations. Trusting others does not mean having no boundaries, but understanding that each person has their own path and their own lessons to learn. When we trust, we allow relationships to grow from a place of freedom and respect, not possession or control. Ultimately, Transforming attachment into trust frees us from the need to depend on external circumstances to feel good. True peace and freedom come from the ability to accept what is, to trust in the flow of life, and to know that, regardless of what happens, we will always be capable of finding our inner peace. Trust, in its purest form, is a form of surrender. It is not abandoning goals or desires, but surrendering to the truth that life has its own rhythm. By transforming attachment into trust, we discover true freedom. The freedom to be ourselves, to live without fear, and to love without constraints. Chapter 12. The absolute power of the present, living without anxiety. We live in a world riddled with constant distractions, external demands, responsibilities, desires, and anxieties push us into constantly thinking about the future or the past. The mind rarely stops. It is always busy jumping from one thought to the next, reliving past events or anticipating what might happen. However, true power lies in the present moment. It is in the present moment that we find peace, clarity, and connection with what truly matters. The past no longer exists. It is a collection of memories, experiences that we can no longer change. And the future is uncertain, full of possibilities and assumptions that often do not turn out as we expect. The only moment that is real, the only moment over which we have control, is the present. When we live trapped in the past or the future, we miss the only thing we can truly experience, the now. Fear and anxiety often arise because we anticipate what might happen, imagining the worst. We worry about what we cannot control, but fear and anxiety pull us away from reality. When we cling to the future, we are swept away by uncertainty. And when we cling to the past, we are trapped in what has already passed. Both of these mental states steal our peace. The power of the present lies in the fact that when we are present, we free ourselves from the burden of the past and the anxiety of the future. The present is the only place where we can act. When we focus on what is happening right now, without carrying the weight of worries, we give ourselves the space to make conscious decisions, act with clarity, and above all, enjoy life as it is. The present moment is the only place where life truly happens. The mind's natural tendency is to be distracted, but through the practice of mindfulness, we can train the mind to focus on the present. Mindfulness teaches us to observe what is happening without judging, witnessing our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. It allows us to be present in what we are doing without being swept away by worries or distractions. Detachment also plays a fundamental role in living in the present. When we cling to the past, worried about the future, we are bound. Detachment teaches us to let go of those emotional burdens, freeing ourselves from expectations and memories. When we let go of the burden of the past and the worries of the future, we discover a sense of lightness, of peace. The present as it is becomes enough. The present is also the space where gratitude can flourish. Gratitude is experienced when we recognize the blessings we have right now. We focus on what is good, instead of what we lack or what we fear losing. Practicing gratitude helps us let go of worries and connects us to the present moment. One of the simplest ways to bring the mind back to the present is through the breath. Every time we feel overwhelmed by thoughts, we can take a moment to focus on our breath. The breath becomes an anchor, a constant reminder that this moment is all we truly have. The present is also the only moment we can act. The only chance we have to act and do something meaningful is right now. This awareness allows us to make wiser and more effective decisions because we are fully focused on the task at hand. Once we become accustomed to living in the present, we begin to experience life in a completely different way. Living in the present teaches us to accept what is, to let go of what we cannot change, and to enjoy every moment as it comes. It gives us the freedom to live authentically. The power of the present is infinite. By freeing ourselves from the worries of the past and the future, we find a peace that depends not on external circumstances but on our ability to be present, accept what is, and live with our consciousness and gratitude. Chapter 13. The way out of the mental loop, acceptance and letting go. The cycle of Repetitive thinking is one of the biggest obstacles to inner peace. It is an endless spiral where the mind constantly recreates the same worry, the same memory, or the same fear. The unconscious attachment to these thought patterns not only drains mental energy but also pushes us away from the present moment. To break the shackles of these persistent thoughts, the key is not to fight or suppress them, but to practice radical acceptance and let go of the attempts to control the mind. The first step to liberation from the mental loop is to recognize and accept that repetitive thoughts are happening. Many times, we fall into the automation of the thought stream without realizing we are trapped. However, by accepting that the mind has the tendency to create these loops, without judging or trying to stop them immediately, we create a liberating distance. This acceptance does not mean agreeing with the content of the thought, but accepting the mental process that is occurring. When we stop fighting the thoughts, we stop giving energy to the cycle of repetition and become tranquil observers of them. The deep source of repetitive thinking is the attachment to the need for control and the search for certainty. The mind is uncomfortable with the uncertainty of the future, so it tries to find a perfect answer through overthinking. This control is an illusion, and the effort to seek immediate certainty only increases anxiety. To let go of this control, we need to practice accepting uncertainty. Accepting that we do not have all the answers, that we cannot predict the future, is an act of letting go of the burden of the responsibility to control. This frees us from constantly being stuck in thoughts that aim to solve problems that cannot be solved right now. Practices like meditation and mindfulness are fundamental tools to cultivate the ability to accept and let go. They teach us to observe thoughts as passing clouds in the sky of the mind without needing to latch onto them or analyze them. We learn to see thoughts as fleeting mental events that come and go instead of identifying them with our being. In particular, the breath becomes a powerful anchor of acceptance. Every time we notice we are caught in a thought loop, we gently let go of the attention to the thought and accept focusing fully on the rhythm of the breath taking place in the present moment. By doing so, we reset the mind, interrupting the automatic flow of thought and returning to the only reality we can control, the present. Letting go of unhelpful thoughts also requires consciously redirecting attention. This is not repression, but choosing to replace the mental energy that was dedicated to repetitive worry with a positive action that anchors us to reality. For example, we can redirect to practicing gratitude, focusing on what is good in the present instead of dwelling on what is lacking. Even physical activities like exercise are a form of letting go, as they force us to accept and focus on bodily sensations, interrupting the automatic cycle of thought. The process of breaking the repetitive thought cycle is a continuous one of practicing acceptance and letting go. It requires patience. Over time, we realize that although thoughts will continue to come, we have the power to choose how we react to them. We let go of the need to control or resolve everything immediately, and accept the peace that comes from living fully in the present. This ability is liberating, allowing us to regain control of our mind and live a lighter, more peaceful life. Chapter 14. Embracing Inner Peace and Healthy Relationships. The Results of Detachment. Throughout this journey, we have explored the transformative power of detachment. We have learned to let go of what limits us, what ties us to suffering and anxiety. We have seen how the attachment to thoughts, people, control, and expectations creates a cycle of constant dissatisfaction. But we have also discovered that true inner peace and freedom come when we are able to free ourselves from those ties, embrace what is, let go of what we cannot change, and accept our humanity with compassion. Detachment is not a way to escape the world, but a way to live in it with greater awareness, greater peace, and greater authenticity. It is not about giving up relationships or disconnecting from emotions, but quite the opposite. Detachment allows us to live healthier and more meaningful relationships, because we free ourselves from expectations and emotional burdens. It allows us to love others from a place of freedom, without needing to control, without depending on their approval, but simply by being present and grateful for who they are. This type of love is deeper, more authentic, and more sustainable, because it is not based on need, but on the free choice to share our life with others. By applying what we have learned, we can see a real shift in how we feel and how we interact with the world. When we stop clinging to what we cannot control, when we learn to be observers of our mind and emotions, we begin to experience the inner peace we have been seeking. We no longer need to search externally for what we can find within. Peace, serenity, and contentment are available to us in this moment, here and now. One of the keys to detachment is accepting the impermanence of life. Everything in the world is constantly changing. Instead of resisting this natural flow of life, detachment teaches us to go with the flow. It shows us that we do not need to cling to the past or worry about the future. By accepting that everything has its time, we find the peace that only deep acceptance of the present can provide. And when we live from that peace, our relationships, decisions, and daily life become clearer, lighter, and more purposeful. Now that we understand the power of detachment, it is time to act. Transformation does not happen only in theory. It is through continuous and conscious practice that we can truly liberate our mind and heart. Detachment is a continuous process, not a destination. Every day gives us the opportunity to practice what we have learned. Every time we find ourselves trapped in repetitive thoughts, worries, or intense emotions, we can choose to let go, observe without identifying, and return to the present. To start, I invite you to integrate small acts of detachment into your daily life. You can start by establishing moments of silence to observe your thoughts without judging. Stop clinging to the expectations you have for yourself and others. Learn to love without expectations and without needing others to validate you. Remember that your value does not depend on what you achieve or what others think of you. You are already enough as you are. In your relationships, start letting go of control. Accept others as they are, without trying to change them or impose expectations. Remember that true freedom in relationships comes when you love, without depending on what the other person does for you. Learn to set healthy boundaries without seeking constant approval. Peace in relationships comes from authenticity, from being yourself, without fear. Detachment also includes caring for yourself. Practice self-care and self-compassion. Stop demanding perfection from yourself and allow yourself to be human with your strengths and weaknesses. True transformation begins with self-acceptance as you are. And freedom comes when you allow yourself to live without the pressure of having to be who others expect you to be. Remember that every day is a new opportunity to practice detachment. Transformation is a gradual process. As you continue to practice detachment, you will realize that letting go is easier, living in the present is easier, and loving unconditionally is easier. Inner peace is the result of this continuous process of letting go of what we cannot control, accepting what is, and trusting in our ability to face what comes. By embracing detachment, you not only free yourself from suffering, but you also open the door to a more authentic, happy, and purposeful life. The journey to free ourselves from attachment and find detachment is an inner revolution. We have discovered together that true peace does not lie in controlling external circumstances, but in the ability to accept what is and let go of what does not serve our growth. By training the mind to live in the present, to observe thoughts without identifying with them, and to love from a place of freedom without expectations, we have unlocked the door to a more authentic, less anxious, and more purposeful life. Remember, the freedom to be yourself is always within your reach. If this message resonated with your spirit, leave your light by liking. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on what awaits you on this path of detachment and the search for peace. Write in the comments below, as a commitment to yourself, "Your silence is strengthening me."